This is the Australian Butchers Guild podcast, brought to you by Meat and Livestock Australia, the podcast for passionate butchers.
G'day and welcome to Meat and Livestock Australia's Australian Butchers Guild podcast. I'm Doug Piper, and today I'm chatting with Daniel McCarthy, owner of a Cut Above family butchery in Geelong Victoria, down near Geelong. Daniel has a fantastic butcher shop located in the Geelong shopping centre, a few clicks just outside of Geelong. Daniel has successfully built his business brand up over the years and has a sensible approach to ensuring that not only his customers are happy, but ensuring his talented team of butchers and customer service people are happy to come and work every day. Daniel is not only a talented butcher and businessman, he is also a member of the Australian Steelers Butchery team, hopefully heading over to Sacramento later in September 2022 to compete in the World Butchers Challenge and hopefully bring home the winner's trophy from the Italian team. Welcome, Daniel.
Thanks, Doug. Good to be here.
How's everything down there in Geelong, down in Victoria?
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's a little bit hectic times, but we had a bit of a earthquake a couple of days ago and COVID and whatever. There's a few curveballs coming our way.
We thought we had it tough up here, mate, until they threw the earthquake into the mix down there. I think I was talking to you on the day, and
yeah, that's
said,
right.
Did you get that earthquake? And I said, what earthquake?
Yeah, and I think we're into lockdown maybe 8, I think.
And how's that affected your business, mate?
Oh, it's probably overall it's probably been a positive. We've seen a lot of inconsistency with sort of, we'd have some in the lockdown periods we'd have a really sort of peaks and then troughs afterwards. But overall, it's sort of evened out, and we're probably busier than what we were sort of previously.
Yeah, right. So you're in a shopping centre or a strip shop?
We're in a centre. Yeah, we're in a centre of, I think there's about 60 stores with Coles, Woolies, a Kmart, and other sort of specialty stores.
And have you noticed many of their businesses shutting down, like all the smaller shops around you, or are they like dress shops and ladies' fashion and that?
Yeah, so once they have a few, with the restrictions, they change a little bit, and as of late, all the retailers close. Then it's just cafes for takeaway and us and the supermarkets.
I suppose it does affect the customers coming through. Like you don't get that same foot traffic going past as what you would a normal day.
No, you don't. No, sort of like it becomes really inconsistent. We'll have sort of periods throughout the day, which is a bit weird, where you'll have sort of like a bit of a rush of people. And then they sort of clear out, and that's it for sort of a couple of hours, and it's a bit eerie. You sort of walk through the malls of the centre, and there's sort of shops shut everywhere, and just like you might pass 2 or 3 people through a 100-metre mall,
I suppose you're lucky in a way that you're right out the front of a Woolworths too, aren't you?
We are, yeah. You sort of can't go past us to get to Woolies, we're fortunate as an industry to be so essential as what we do, and it's sort of like, I don't know I often think how these guys that are always open, shut, how they sort of manage it, not so much like financially, but also emotionally and mentally,
Yeah, it'd be a big strain on everything, not just the wallet, but it's the emotional side of it, because you've spent so much time building your business and your customer base.
And I often think, it's so grateful for what we do in our industry and whatever, and you sort of think back, a number of years ago there was quite a few people that sort of left the industry for whatever reason, but it's a pretty good industry to be a part of at the minute, that's for sure.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of success stories out there with butchers that they've traded quite strongly over the last nearly 2 years now. I suppose it is 1.5 to 2 years. So they've been lucky enough to capitalise on what's happened and rebuild their business base too, I suppose. So there's been a lot of different things that butchers have been able to do in the past, like the use of online and social media, but they've sort of skirted around it because they didn't understand it or didn't have the time for it to do it. But now I think it's an important thing to do. Yeah.
I think like just on that, so a lot of people sort of, you're almost forced, if you weren't doing it, you were forced to do it because it was sort of like, it was such a sudden impact that we was looking at. Yeah, you were sort of, if you weren't online or if you weren't on social media, it was a bit of a scurry to get there and to be seen sort of thing.
How did you handle that? What were you doing? Were you already online at that stage, or have you had to go online?
Yeah, so we've been online for a number of years. I think we're heading towards 6 years. And at the start for our online stuff was for probably a few years, it was really slow and quite challenging and quite an investment to sort of like to get it set up to how we wanted to. And then when you come to a thing like COVID, basically we just changed some processes because you get an influx of orders like in a matter of hours. But then moving forward from that, it was just marketing behind what we already do. So we're fortunate enough we're already there, but then we just sort of reach out and just promote ourselves a bit more to other areas, not just our direct suburb or whatever it is. And it was a little bit easy for us, but I understand it's not a simple process to get online. But yeah, you sort of had to. Otherwise, as you said, when a lockdown comes, there was no one in our centre, and I'd imagine strip shops would be the same. So you're just sort of you're just waiting for the customers to sort of come in, and it's at times they just weren't.
Yeah, I suppose you've got to look further than your own backyard. That's for sure. When you're doing online shopping, you can go anywhere when you think about it. When you really think about it, it's the web. So you can get customers from the other side of Victoria. I would imagine there would be stories out there from butchers that have been supplying meat into other areas well outside of their own community. So having that opportunity there to have an online shop available is got to be very crucial to the success of the business. So did you find it difficult to get involved in that? Like, I know you said you've been doing it for 6 years. So if you go back to when you first started, what was the biggest hurdles, I suppose, getting into that?
They're not really hurdles. They're just sort of like what you had to do to sort of set it up. So we created a platform and templates for our website. But then we have to, my interpretation was if we're going to have trying to selling meat from a computer screen, it has to look really good. Your presentation's got to be exact same as what we do in the shop. It's that eye appeal is buy appeal. So from that online sort of platform, it was okay. This is going to catch someone's eye as they're looking at a computer screen, which is, it's a bit different, So it was all about the photos, the quality of the photos, whether it was garnishing or whatever was surrounding the photos. And I think you can buy pictures from the net, but it's sort of the approach we took was to have it sort of, this is us, what you're seeing on your computer screen is what you see in our window. Yes, we dress it up nicely or whatever it is, but the product doesn't change that much, And then we have descriptions also of the product, like cooking methods, cooking times, approximate serve sizings, that sort of thing. So it's sort of like almost like a sales sort of a pitch in writing. So when the customer browses over it, if they're not used to having cooking steak or cooking dice chuck or whatever it was, they can have a bit of a browse and think, I might give that a go or whatever it is without actually talking to us, It was just time. It took time to sort of to do that. So it's probably not really hurdles, but it's not an overnight process.
So you employed a graphic, like a website designer, obviously, to do all that, or are you one of these younger people these days that understands how to do that sort of stuff?
No, certainly not one of those younger people. We at the start we purchased a website, whatever you want to, if it's I suppose you'd say that off a web builder. There's a lot of cheap and even free option templates, I think, that you can build your own, but I didn't have that ability to be able to do so. So I actually put a little bit of money into it to the start. We had to create the content. So then I also had a friend who was a photographer who come into the shop and took numerous photos of, and it was probably a few hundred photos. At the end, we just chopped and got rid of a heap of them because we wanted to present and stand out, and I always go back to the same, and we spoke the other day, we work on, when people come into our store, they see our window and it looks good, we can offer them good service, we can build relationships, but the online stuff, you sort of need to apply those same principles, but it's a different way of getting there and getting that across, because it's like you can't talk to them, or they can't hear your charisma or whatever it is. So you just got to have it in descriptions and pictures of your product, and the cleanliness of the layout of the website as well is quite important. If it looks nice and neat, tidy, like our tickets in our window, my tickets always got to be in lines, whether it's vertical, horizontal, everything's got to be straight, Same as our website, everything's nice and clean and tidy, and the same sort of principles apply.
That all makes sense, mate. So with the imagery, cooked or raw, do you do both, or are you all raw images?
Just all raw images, yeah. Yeah, we don't do any, we do a bit of cooked stuff that go into parcels and whatever in pastries, but we don't have any ready cooked meals. But at Christmas time, we change that and we might have like specialty things. We might have like a nice carved turkey or something like that when we, with our sort of Christmas sort of like theme type things, you know. But everything else is raw. And now in where we're at today is we've purchased these. We have these photo booths that cost me like I think the dearest one was about $70. It's about 800 square, and they got light LED lights in them, and you've got different like sheets where you can so everything's blacked out, or if it's you can have a white background or whatever. And there's lights that come in. You can take photos from the front, from the top. So now all our photos get done in these photo booths. You know, it's a minute investment to make such a big difference. You know,
they've got to be so handy to be able to get those things. Like, I have seen them set up there in photo shoots with what we've done in the past, but like $70. What, do you get that off eBay or?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. eBay. Yeah. So I have a larger one where when we do all of our main stuff, and sometimes if I put a couple of things on our story, I've got a smaller one that's nearby, and I'll just chuck it up on the bench, pop something in there, and just take a photo, bang, and it's done. You know, just looks better than, you know, you got the lights in the shop that might have or your cabinet lights, you know, the pink lights might sort of like throw into the photo, and it looks a little bit sort of blandish. And it's all just that little 1%ers that make a big difference, you know.
Yeah.
You go back to your shop, you know, all the 1% things adds up to a big end result.
And you know, if butchers wanted to do their own, so do you take your own photos now? You've got your own camera, or do you still get your mate to come in and take the photos for you?
No, we do it ourselves now, yeah. So I had a friend come in and do it once at the start. You know, when we first started doing it ourselves, they weren't great, but we just slowly got better and better, and now it's, you know, we went from having some grass background, now we have some nice timber boards or whatever it is, you know, it's always changing. But so and it's with a phone. It's not, we don't have a camera, we just have a phone. That's it, smartphone and a $70 photo booth.
No wonder the photographers are spewing out there, mate. They're losing so much business.
Yeah, these smartphones, they're amazing what they can do these days, Doug. I actually looked at a camera and we looked at like the resolutions and whatever, and it was like we can get so much similar things than with a decent smartphone, you know. So we didn't have to spend, you know, $2,500 on a specific camera. We just got an updated mobile phone that has, you know, the cameras, the resolutions are really good these days.
And what about I've seen some of your social media stuff, the little videos you're doing. So you're obviously doing them yourselves?
Yeah. And again, so those videos that we do, whether it's the Instagram Reels or whatever it is all done in our little photo booth. I have one of our staff members, one of our girls who's been with me for nine years. So she's sort of stepped out of the shop and does these roles, you know, and I feel today even more so it's just crucial to have someone doing these, and you may not see the results sort of like instantly, but it's sort of the long game, you know. You sort of got to invest in it and keep working at it, and some people don't see the value in it, but it really is valuable. And again, as I said, you may not see the results straight up or overnight, or whether it's you're posting on Facebook or Instagram, you may not see, you might get that many likes, or the engagement might be that big, but you just keep at it, and you'll see your results at some stage, you know. And it's a point of difference, and you're standing out, you know. That's the crucial part, because it's, you know, social media is huge now.
Do you post on a daily basis or every couple of days, or is there some sort of system that you have?
Yeah, we do post generally daily. Very rarely we don't. We went through a stage where we were trying to sort of work out when people are on there, sort of the analytics of how it was working, when people are on their phones or whatever it is. But we sort of got a little bit sort of caught up in it. And it's like, I thought, you know what, just post it. You know, as long as it's getting out there, the content's getting out there, just post it. That was my advice, you know.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, and if you get it sort of, you could do it in the morning. You can think before the kids are going to school or whatever it is. Mum might be on her phone. They might see something, have some inspiration for dinner, or you could post it after, you know, 7 or 8 o'clock at night, where people are thinking for sitting on their couch, going through their phone. They might think for the next day. There's so many things you can consider, but just post it.
Yeah, we do a little bit of posting with our Butchers Guild and that, and I don't truly understand the analytics of it either, but our girl Tamara, who does all the work for us, and I send her through some photos, or I've got something I want her to post. She goes, no, I can't post that today because I've got this scheduled. And, we posted yesterday, so we do one post every couple of days, I think it is, and she keeps, and it's actually grown really well, of the following that we've got on the guild there. We see the reach, I think, is the most important part. Just because you've got 15 likes, there's also that other part, which is the reach, is what people actually see. They've actually visually looked at it. How they gauge that, I don't know, but that is the most important part of getting that reach out there. So not just because you got 15 or 20 or 50 likes, it's that whole reach part which is the most important part, I think.
Yeah, that's true, because we sort of do comparisons with our Facebook and our Instagram, and same deal. We've got such a bigger following on Facebook than what we do have Instagram, but Instagram gets us the biggest reaches. That's exactly right, and you can see the numbers of likes are different. You get more on Facebook, but it's the percentages, percentages of your likes to your following, and your reach and whatever it is. You're spot on. And that's what we look at. Yeah. Because you can get a bit caught up, oh, no one's seen that, or no one liked it, or whatever it is, but you just forget about that and just do it. And if you're doing it consistently, you're going to be noticed, it's and whether it takes whatever it is, doesn't matter. It could be a week, could be 2 or 3 months, but if you're consistent at it, you'll get better at it, and you'll get noticed.
And it's about building your brand too. At the end of the day, it's about building up your brand, a cut above family butchers. That's what it's all about. So whether you're, Johnny Smith down the road, or you're Daniel down there at Corio, it's the brand that you're building, and so your customers can relate to it, and they know where they're going to come to get some beautiful meat.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. Yeah. So it's like, they'll see, you scroll past, and if you see something so many times, you'll eventually take notice of it. Whether it's I think it's just human nature. I think that's that's what they say. If you see something a certain amount of times, you'll start paying attention, or you remember. You'll start to relate to it, and then you'll start to think, you will gravitate towards it.
The other thing I loved when we came down to your shop, I think it was nearly 2 years ago, for the Greatest Butcher, mate, the window display that you had there, we sort of figure whenever we're doing a trip around the place and we go to butcher shops and they know we're coming, they always put on a good display. But like you said, that is my daily standard. It doesn't change from this. This is the way I have my window every day, and I was just so impressed with the way everything looked. And you mentioned before about your tickets, how they've got to be straight or in line or wherever. Everything has a spot, and the value adding that you do there, it is some of the best that I've seen around the place. It's simple, it looks very edible. You want to eat it. And as I think Jessica Rowe, who was there, she wanted to take half your window away with her. So how have you built up with that? Like, you're in a really tough area, like you said the other day. Corio's not probably one of the tougher areas around that Geelong area. How have you been able to encourage the customers around there to eat that sort of food? Because they generally what we see with the data that we get through the Helix program, there's a lot of people out there that are doing a lot of microwave food, or they're getting takeaway. How have you adjusted? How have you sort of brought them around?
Yeah, so I think when we first, it was a big thing that we did was education. When the customers, when we had new products and whatever, and we started to shift to this to these value-added lines and sort of oven-ready, sort of half an hour. We have a theme that we work on, sort of that half an hour at 180. That's sort of our where we started. Now it's a bit different now with the air fryers and whatnot, but that's what we sort of built a number of lines around at the start, and then it was about education, about the simplicity of it. Like, the flavour had to be really well, so we put a lot of effort into the recipes, because we didn't want someone to take away, and we talked it up a little bit, and they went home and cooked it, and it was okay, but it was sort of like that was it, We wanted to go and say, I want that again, because they experienced the eating quality, the simplicity of the cooking, and the convenience, and sort of, convenience is so crucial these days. And as you say, like some competition, we look at competition as fast food now, which 5-10 years ago you wouldn't have ever thought that, but it is, So, and like it's, people are busy, whether they've got kids sport or work or whatever it is. I don't want to be going home cooking these, like a big meal and washing dishes, whatever it is, or you just can't be bothered, So we just have those options. And they're so eye appealing, because it's like it just pops, It's sort of like we have it, as you know, in the centre of our cabinet. It's sort of like our showstoppers, and we have them sitting there, and you can't walk past without noticing them. There's, we have at times you might have maybe 8 or 10 different pastry lines, so it's sort of and with some nice garnish and whatever, it's just like a highlight.
The lighting side of it, I find, is always very important as well. Making sure that you've got the lights aren't out above them. So often those bloody tubes blow. Whose job's that?
No, so we changed. Yeah, so that's my job really. But so we changed to all LED lighting a few years ago, and even in the meat case. And it's funny because I actually trialled it once, and I had them in there for a couple of weeks, and I'd gone from like the whatever they are, the fluoro type ones to these LED ones, and I thought, wow, they're really bright. It looks good, but it's probably too much. So after 2 weeks, I took them out, and then about 12 months later, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna have to give them a go again. So I got some more, which cost, it wasn't cheap. So we did it again. I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna have to get used to it because I don't like change that much, But so then we worked on the lighting around the place, as the overhead, bulkhead and stuff like that. And how do we sort of like change? Because these days there's so many different colours. There's multiple colours that you can get that will adjust and change, and so we just worked at a few different things and tried different colours, and to what we got to a point where I think, you know what, this works. It's highlighting the meat cabinet without sort of like flooding it, and that was sort of like that's what we were after.
We went to IFA a couple of years ago in Germany, and I saw some really good technology there when it came to lighting. They had a couple of butcher's cases set up there, and with the bulkheads up the top there, they had a lot of downlights there, and it was all controllable by your iPhone. So they were all set up through Bluetooth, so you could change the colour or the brightness throughout the day. So I hadn't seen this. I'm old school butcher here. I haven't been in a shop for a while, but this was all brand new technology for me, and I thought, what a great idea, because as the sales representative mentioned, you can change the colour. You can have it brighter in the afternoons as the sun goes down, and you can filter it out during the day when it's a lot brighter. So and the different colours that you can get, that you can turn these lights into. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, well, I haven't heard of that, but so the lights that we have, they are adjustable. So we have, I think there's 3 different colour settings, and there's also 3 different brightness settings. Yeah, but we have to do it manually. And I thought, when I put these in, that's a great idea, because come winter time, it's darker, it's a bit gloomier, so you can change the strength of the light. When it's summertime, it's a bit brighter anyway, so you can maybe, or vice versa, whatever works, But it would be handy having it to on your mobile phone, or it might send you crazy because you might find yourself changing every bloody 20 minutes, but. So.
No, that's the problem. Someone get hold of your phone and they'll
like a disco.
That's it. The Butchers Challenge, the World Butchers Competition. Congratulations on being on the team, mate. It's a bit of a coup for you. I think you're well deserved. We've seen a lot of your work out there. You're looking forward to getting over there to Sacramento next year?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's it's one of these things you sort of go through your life or in your career, and you sort of I never really considered this sort of thing until I started these competitions, and it was back in probably 2016 where I went on a tour and started to network with people and whatever, and at the time I wasn't doing much. We entered in a couple of AMIC competitions, the Sausage King comps, and didn't really know sort of much about, improving products and whatnot. And it was that very one tour that we done that really sort of a light bulb sort of moment for us. And yeah, we started working at our Sausage King recipes and stuff like that. And then we started seeing a bit of success. We're getting some results, and then the butchering comps come along, and I thought I'll give them a go. And then I seen a bit of success with that, and then the opportunity come up for the Steelers comp. And it was that was, this is, if you're going to do comps, this is what you want to aspire to. And then, yeah, we just sort of went on from there and put a lot of effort and work in. And I was fortunate enough to get a good result and get picked for the team. So hopefully we get there next year. But when we were supposed to be there last year, it was our training was it started to get it was becoming awesome. You know, we started to get really refined and we're gelling really well, and then we stopped. You know, and that was a bit of a bugger. But you know, once we are able to get back going again and we can get some consistency and maybe working towards that date next September, hopefully.
Yeah. Getting a position on the team like that, like what you did, it's something that no one's ever going to come up and tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, do you want to come and join this? You've got to be inspired to do that. You've got to get off your butt and you've got to go and do these things, you know, because, you know, we've got a lot of, we've had a bit of feedback over the years about the competitions, about butchers wanting to be, why can't I be on the team? I'd love to be on the team. It's a big ask too, so you've got to take time off work. You've got to, or be able, you know, hopefully your employer will give you the time off work. And there's a lot of commitment there. Like there's a lot of travel, and to get on that team, you've still got to be able to back yourself because it's teamwork. It's not being one person. So you know you're going to have your job to do, and everybody else has got their jobs. And as soon as you finish yours, it's not just a matter of putting your knives down, waiting for something else to happen. You've got to get in and help somebody else. So you know, building yourself up for that sort of the competition, it's not easy. There's a lot lying on your shoulders because you've got to hold up your end of the bargain in the team.
Yeah, that's true. You know, and like we have these like the Butchers Wars, which is like an individual comp. Which is probably a stepping stone for what it was for me. It certainly was for me. But you're there. It's all up to you. You know, like it's if you're successful at it, it's because of you. If you're not that successful, it's because of you also. You know. But in a team environment, so stepping up into once we first started training with the Steelers, it was yes, you've got a role, and your role is servicing your needs, but also you're servicing 2 to 3 other people too, and you've got to have your time is got to be spot on because if you're dragging the chain, you're going to drag 2 or 3 other people's chains too, and then that's just going to snowball. And you know, after 3 hours, you could be you know, a fair way behind or whatever it is, you know, and then you don't want to start panicking, you know. So that's right. There's so much to it, and the strategies need like you have to have in place to make sure your time's in sync with everyone else and everyone's doing their role as they should be, and also having a bit of a backup plan. So if you're ahead of time, you have a thing where I can go and help this fella because he may be dragging a little bit, or vice versa, sort of thing. You know, yeah, the team environment is so much different than the individual comps. Sure.
I think that the team itself, they are some great fellas in that team, very talented, led by Adam. He's been the captain for a few years now, and they've had a very good run. I think, you know, I've been to a couple of the competitions along the line, and the teamwork that everybody's always got along very well, and the end product has been, you know, second to none. If you ask me, I've got to be biased. They're Australians, they're the Australian team, but yeah, mate, they've always done well in my eyes, and it's also not just about, I suppose, winning, but they make great mates out of it. Like, you know, these guys now know people all over the world. We've got a lot more interest in Australian butchery because, you know, we do it pretty well here. Between us, I think between Australia, the UK, and a couple of the European countries, just no one does it as good as what Australian butchers do. Like, just the day-to-day work that you do in your shops is, you know, they don't come anywhere near what we do or what butchers do today.
Like you see through social media and stuff like that, you see, you know, other people from other countries, whether it's UK or whatever it is, and they do some like amazing stuff, you know. And at the same time, you'll see one of our guys and think, wow, that's sort of like, it's different, but it's like it's sort of next level, same sort of thing. It's we're using the same products, but we're doing a lot of different stuff, you know, and still to a standard that sort of like it just keeps getting better and better, you know. And again, you follow social media and you just see something, wow, you know, like this is where we're heading, this is where we're going, or whatever it is, and it's good for like, you know, aspiring butchers or leaders or whatever it is. That's sort of like you just keep pushing yourself to be better and better and watching what everyone else is doing, and it just helps sort of lift you up a bit, you know. When I first went there, it was I was very nervous, and the boys, it's awesome. You know, you sort of get there, and Adam's like, he's a big believer of mine. He's probably a bit of a mentor of mine now, where it's sort of like he's sort of probably taught me how to believe in myself and what I do and whatnot, and to push myself at the same time. And it's the same when we're training, the same deal. He'll be believing in you, but he'll be pushing you at the same time. And then you get together, and it's they're just a good bunch of encouraging guys. Sort of like if something doesn't work well, you sort of talk about it and give an idea on what could be done or whatever it is, or an example. There's no real. It's all constructive, and that's what sort of makes you feel really comfortable really, really quickly. And talking to, say, Luke Layson, who was a recently new member to the team, he goes, I went through the same thing. I was packing my pants once, getting here and think, shit, I'm not good enough or whatever it is, but probably lacking that bit of a belief. But then once you get rolling and whatnot, you start to build a bit of confidence, and now you look at the quality of what Luke does. He's amazing. Now we are great mates.
I think doing a lot of the Butcher Wars is a great segue into this sort of thing, because I don't want to sort of make you nervous, but a lot of people are out there watching what you do. I remember Tommy Boucher at one stage, when one of his first ones that we did overseas, he was a member of the Steelers, and he was a bit like Luke was. He was very nervous, but eventually you overcome that. It's something that only comes with experience, and you at the end of the day, you just put your head down and you do what you know best, and that's, your job, how to cut meat, you know what you've got to do, you just do it. You don't worry about what happens outside of your line of sight. It's what's in front of you, and that's the whole thing. A lot of butchers have got to understand when it comes to any sorts of competitions like that. Yes, there's a lot of pressure on you, but you just worry about what you've got in front of you. It's like running a butcher shop. Don't worry about what people are doing down the road or outside there. It's just what you've got in front of you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like it's well for me. So I sort of so when I went into the comp to get into the team, it was like, okay, I'd practiced what I need to do, and I'd done what I needed to do, and then it's just a belief. Like it's, what to do, you just got to do it. And you've got a bit of nervous energy, so you need to allow a few minutes for that to sort of. But I find the first maybe 15 minutes. If you can get your knife skills like nice and smooth, clean cuts, it sets a tone, and your shoulders will just relax, and it's you're not as stiff and whatever, and you're just you get off to a good start, and that changes the rest of the whole time, you'll just start breezing and comfortable, and you'll smash it out, and your confidence starts flying high, and I think if you have a bit of a boo-boo, that's when you start to panic a little bit, and the nerves set in and makes it a bit difficult. Your shoulders will stiffen up, and but that's all good.
Yeah, that's great, mate. Well, mate, it's been great to catch up with you again. It's been too long since we've had a chat. I really do appreciate your time. I will see you before you get over there to Sacramento. I'll get up there to one of the training sessions, or at least one of the training sessions when they all kick off. I look forward to catching up with you there, mate. All the very best for the future, and thanks once again for your time today, mate. Great to catch up.
No, you too, Doug. All the best. Thanks very much.
Well, that's all we have time for today, and thanks for tuning in. If you'd like more information about today's episode, you can contact me on butchers@mla.com.au. And don't forget to subscribe to the Australian Butchers Guild podcast so you don't miss an episode. I'm Doug Piper. See you in a fortnight.
You've been listening to the Australian Butchers Guild podcast, produced by The Sound Business.